Howdy folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie and this is a bonus video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I assembled the little star shaker that I used on page number 2, because I'm also going to be using a similar star shaker element on page number 8. So what you'll need for this element, it kind of depends on how you're going to use it. You will definitely need a sheet of acetate. I have here 6 sheets of 110 pound black cardstock that I'm going to use to create the where you would normally use foam or chipboard. And I've got 3 nested dies of whatever shape you want. In this case, I'm going with the star because that's kind of, it fits the theme of the album. I've got a piece of pattern paper, and you could go with another piece of pattern paper. In this case, I'm going with this matte silver paper. And because I'm going to be using this as the pull tab for a cascading waterfall, I'm going to use a piece of 65 pound cardstock also. You're also going to need a die cutting machine, obviously. If you have dies, you're going to need a die cutting machine to use them. So first, let's get started with die cutting all the pieces that we're going to need. I'm going to take the largest of my dies and die cut. You can see where I did the last one here. I'm going to die cut my acetate with the largest of my dies. We're going to set this aside. I'm going to use the same large die, and I'm going to die cut from the pattern paper. And the more I think about it, the more I'm not going to need this 65 pound cardstock, so I'm just going to set that aside. Next, I'm going to die cut from the silver matte cardstock. So far we have the back of the pull tab. So this is going to be facing the base page, the acetate window, and the background image that's going to be behind the acetate, behind the shaker. And I may need to recut that because there is, I don't know what happened to that acetate. I'm going to recut this one. Got that fixed. Now we're going to take the largest die and the smallest die. I'm using this matte silver for the outer image. So you're going to use whichever pattern paper you want to use for your outer cover layer. So I've got the largest die and the smallest die, and I've centered the smallest die inside the largest die. And I like to use my stylus to move things around because I have chubby fingers and I tend to move things the wrong direction. Okay, you can set the smallest die aside for now. If you want to hold on to that, I think I'm probably going to hold on to this to embellish something else later on, I'm sure. Okay, now you want to take the largest die and a piece of this 110 pound cardstock and the second largest die. And just like you did with the other pattern paper, you kind of want to center it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it to be way off either. This is the piece that you want to hold on to. I'm going to set this aside. I think I'm probably also going to hold on to this. I'm sure I will have something I can use it for. And I'm going to repeat that 5 more times. Now I've got all the pieces cut out. First thing to do is to glue all of these pieces together. And we can use art glitter glue to do that. And you do want to make sure that you have a nice unbroken line. That way you don't, especially if you're going to use fine glitters, you don't want any gaps where the glitter can escape. Just going to glue these pieces together until we've got all 6 of them stacked in one hollow star. If you have a Xyron, especially one of the bigger ones, you could always add adhesive to the back of your cardstock before you die cut it. My luck with my Xyron and doing that has been not what I'm looking for. Let me just put it that way. And that's probably user error. As I'm going along, I'm just adjusting here and there, trying to keep the points aligned. The inside lines on this star are not going to be perfectly aligned, and that's just because there are small deviations every time you lay the die down. So that's not going to be perfectly aligned, but it's not going to be noticeable when everything is assembled. Now we're going to add the backing and set this aside to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to assemble the cover. And it's not as critical to get an unbroken line of glue on the cover because there's not going to be any glitter or sequins or anything that can escape through here. And again, we're going to set this aside to dry. And we're going to hold off on this piece. Well, I'll be using this piece in the page 8 video to cover where the pull mechanism attaches back here. All right, art glue should be dry, so I'm going to take a shaker mix. That should be plenty. I don't want to add too much. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to put glue right here in the unbroken line around the top, and I want to be careful not to shake the shaker too much because then I'll end up flipping shaker elements up on top and get glue on them, and they'll stick somewhere inside the shaker and be stuck there forever. This glue does need to dry before I do anything else with it. And if you want to see a larger version of this used as a closure, be sure to check out the video for page number 2, which I will link up here. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.